Happy Sunday, everybody. Ed Carbajal here for MMANews.com. Make sure you check out MMANews.com's YouTube channel. Click the thumbs up button, bell notification, like, subscribe, all that nonsense. This week we have interviews from the Canadian God, James Lynch, with Jaredina Rosenstrike and Lauren Murphy for their upcoming bouts. So make sure you check out the channel for that content. You can follow me on Twitter at Carbazel. And that's where I stream this through what used to be Periscope, Twitter Live now. And this is your Sunday submission for August 29th, the day of Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley on Showtime pay-per-view. So, but we're going to leave that for last because we got a lot of MMA content to get to, or MMA events that have came and gone. Last night, UFC Vegas 35, UFC on ESPN 30, whatever name you want to call it. The hashtag was UFC Vegas 35, so that's what I go with. We got the results from there up at MMAnews.com. We had that last night. Saturday night was UFC Professional Fighters League had their final brackets to see who's going to face off in the tournament. So if you missed that, check out the PFL. You can see who's fighting who on October 27th. The event, when they switched off of the ESPN, what was it, ESPN Plus broadcast to ESPN2, there was high school football going on. So that kind of like put a damper in, put a damper in the waiting for the fights, especially if you're on the East Coast. I mean, last night was a little rough if you're an East Coast fight fan. We're staying up late for the fights. So I'm kind of happy this Paul Woodley thing tonight's at an hour earlier than normal at 8 o'clock. Real quick before I move on with the stuff from last week, one housekeeping note I have on my notes here. I had mentioned about from Bellator Jornal Lugo. I think I mistakenly said he trains at Combat Hard Knocks, but it's Combat Club, not Hard Knocks. And he's actually now 7-0, not 9-0. I think I actually said 8-0, 9-0. Hey, wishful thinking for the kid, right? So just wanted to clean that up from last week's Sunday submission, so I don't walk around here with mistakes on record that I do not correct. But the PFL bracket, let me bring that up so you could take a look at who's going to be fighting who on 3 championships on October 27th. I'm going to bring it up from PFL MMA's website because MMA News doesn't really have that on there. But just so you can be aware of who's fighting, these are the results from the brackets that they had. They actually do really good graphics for who's fighting who. So this was last Friday. It's funny just looking at this. Loughnane and Jenkins were kind of like the favorites to a lot of folks, including myself, thought that it would be their names here. I'm not mad that Chris Wade. Chris Wade, I wasn't surprised that he picked up a win, but this fight, these aren't the fights we thought we were going to get when the PFL season started, right? Well, the exception, maybe, I kind of saw Shoeface Antonio Carlos kind of making it here. This was up in the air. We all kind of were either we thought we're doomed or we're hoping for we're doomed, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Kayla Harrison, I actually thought it'd be Harrison. I'm sorry. I thought Fabian had a nice chance. I know I talked about that last week, but Harrison's just been trailblazing through the PFL's women's lightweight division. The only one that has it in the U.S., I'm pretty sure. And then, this one with the welterweights, we were kind of, we were kind of hoping for this to be the final. But Ray Cooper had McDonald's number since 2019 when he won the title. So this is actually going to be a really interesting fight. I'm excited for what's and the lightweight. That's the one that we thought Pettis was going to make it to. So it goes to show you the PFL. If anything, they're fair with the competition and the winner go home format for what goes on in their league format. It's definitely something if you want to take trash talking and hype and all of that. I'm looking forward to October 27th, which is when that's going to happen. They have a thing to sign up here, but it is October 27th, and they're going to remain in the Hard Rock Casino, Seminole Casino, whatever it's called out there in Tampa, in Florida. So that's where they'll close out the season, and a little earlier than we're used to, with October as the final day. Usually it's New Year's Eve. I was fortunate enough to cover all of their previous seasons, New Year's Eve, right out here in New York City, and at Madison Square Garden. And I guess that's a good way to segue into UFC 268 news, which we have up on MMANews.com. So let me bring that up for you, because they confirmed a bunch of fights last night. We have those fights up on our website at MMANews.com. So let me bring that up so you can see. I immediately started making picks and noticing things. I did some research this morning, and I think I'm right about one fight in particular, Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler. So here is our news about UFC 268, Madison Square Garden. It's the UFC's return to Madison Square Garden, and it is 2 years that since they've been there. They're 2017, 20. The last time they were there was UFC 244, if I'm remembering correctly, for the BMF fight or event that happened. They're doing this rematch. A lot of people seem to be unaware that it's a rematch because of how fast the first time these two women, the way it went down. And I forget the event. Well, this is the photo. Thank God we have it up. It's UFC, so we would have it up. But these are the confirmed bouts. Main event. It looked. I mean, I don't think they confirmed that was the bout order, but these are the confirmed fights that we're going to have with 2 title fights. So they're going to be main, co-main, however they want to flip them. I'm pretty sure those are going to stay just as they were written here on the website. But Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington for a second time is official, and Rose versus Weili is Zhang Weili is also official. Pretty much all Trevor Whitman's team is fighting, because you got Justin Gaethje on there right underneath them versus Michael Chandler. So if you don't know by now, I'm pretty high on Justin Gaethje. I've been a fan of his, followed his whole rise through World Series of Fighting. I really like just his whole story. The way he fights is fun. It's probably not healthy for him, the way he fights, but it's fun for fun for fans to watch, and that's why they call him the highlight. Excuse me. So I looked up the since he got in the UFC, I'm pretty sure, and please drop it in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure almost every time Justin Gaethje fought in the UFC, he was the underdog. This is the first time that he's a favorite against Michael Chandler, and I don't know if that's hating on Chandler coming from Bellator, if that's because Chandler's just coming off of the loss, or if, and Gaethje's seniority with the UFC. I don't know where that's coming from. And I'm actually a really big fan of Michael Chandler too. So if I were to do, the 2 fights I just mentioned that are the 2 championship fights, I'm pretty confident, and they're going to go just as their first fights went. These are all those are both rematches. This fight right here, there's a lot of good fights on the undercard here. When you look at Al Iaquinta, Bobby Green, they're getting all the Northeast favorites. Frankie Edgar, Al Iaquinta on there. I wouldn't be surprised if Aljamain's got to do the Peter Yan thing, so he wouldn't be on there. But you're probably going to see like a lot of Tiger Schulman guys on there. Don't be surprised if you see Lyman Good. Every time they've come to the Garden, it's always been Lyman Good, Shane Burgos, and I'm forgetting the third, Jimmy Rivera. Right? I'm pretty sure it's them 3. Always on the MSG cards when the UFC comes to New York City. So don't be surprised if they get added to the undercard or that ESPN lead in. But this fight right here, Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler, that's going to be super hard to call, only because I really like them both, of course, and Gaethje's a favorite by the odds, rightfully so. If we look, it's in Madison Square Garden. If you don't know, Michael Chandler doesn't really like to fight. I wouldn't be surprised if that's why he's not getting the vaccine. He really doesn't like to come to New York. He had his Bellator foray in New York when he fought Brent Primus didn't go his way. It was actually pretty horrible for him. Not only did he lose his title to Brent Primus in that fight, but he had a whole situation with his stool where it was pretty bad. I don't mean to laugh, but it was just really. I completely didn't blame him, and he was one of the first ones to speak out about the way the fighters get taxed when they fight in New York. How it's just not financially. If you're not making a lot, then it's not really worth it for you to fight there because of the way they're going to tax these guys. On that Bellator quote, I know he talked about it. James Gallagher talked about it. But so just if I'm going to give my prediction for this fight in particular, I'm leaning towards Justin Gaethje, and I'm using that everything I just said about mentally Chandler didn't like fighting in New York, the whole taxes thing. He's proven to that fight in particular. I kind of like to credit Brent Primus for being the original like calf kicker, like to kind of show that that's like a thing. And we all know Justin Gaethje does leg kicks. Most fighters that fight Justin Gaethje know the leg kicks are coming, and it doesn't seem like much can be done about it. Justin Gaethje has improved. We haven't seen him really, since his loss to Khabib. I mean, you gotta, he lost to Khabib, who, was just seems to, I mean, born into fighting. So you can't use that as a measuring stick. If you lose a previous fight, use the previous fight against Ferguson. I mean, that's where you can see Justin Gaethje's evolution. So if anything, Chandler can try to wrestle him, but Chandler's not really, he's an MMA submission guy, but he's not a submission guy in the sense that, Khabib's Dagestani grappling wrestling's the whole Sambo thing. You know what I mean? It's not like there's not going to be a Michael Chandler BJJ Fanatics video out there. Maybe there is. I don't know. But it's not going to be. It's not the level of grappling that I think Gaethje needs to worry about, especially since he uses his wrestling to start off the grappling, to get folks to the ground. He also has a real fire right hand. Gaethje's taken so many shots that you have to wonder what's going to drop him eventually. I mean, it takes a bunch. If you look at his losses to like Alvarez and Poirier, the fights like that, are the ones that gave him his losses, and then obviously Khabib triangle choked him, so he can be submitted. And we know if he gets in a firefight, the thing is he doesn't seem to care about the fights that he gets in when those wars. Even the Gaethje Alvarez even said on social media when this fight was being built up and talked about, Alvarez even said, like, even though he won the fight against Gaethje, it's not a fight he wants again because it's just I think he used the quote from Alvarez was, "It's a tornado of punches and kicks that you can't even keep up with," or something like that. So I don't know if that's good for Michael Chandler. His loss to Pitbull is a good example of the level of chin checking or chin. How many strikes can Chandler take before he gets dropped? I mean, it doesn't seem to take a lot when he has lost by KO or TKO. Again, I mean, the thing that the advantage Chandler has is his killer be killed mentality, which is pretty much the same thing Gaethje has. But when he comes at somebody, he's coming in, to win, and he's throwing everything at you too. So that's probably going to be fight of the night. I mean, and if you look at Gaethje's record with the UFC, most of his bonuses have been fight of the night or performance of the night bonuses. So that's the one that's really a coin toss. The odds makers have Gaethje as a favorite. I'm leaning that way too. So if you early betting, I mean, we're months ahead of that, but I would look at Gaethje as you'd have to do like a method of winning victory bet for that and do Gaethje by like TKO to see if there's money there to win. Either way, right now Chandler's the underdog. We'll see what happens leading up to it. And before we move off of UFC 268, I just want to mention, they did ask Dana White in the post-fight presser last night about, what if you can't hold the event? What if you have to cancel or move? Excuse me, because of, COVID is still a thing. And his answer was like, I don't know. We have to see. He said he got assurances from folks over there, and by over there, I don't know if he meant New York, the Athletic Commission, or Madison Square Garden. if you don't know, I most things, the governor, before they got him out of there, or they mandated, I think you need proof of vaccination or proof of recent COVID test to go to any sort of arena event. Check Madison Square Garden's website for how they're going to be handling that if you plan on buying tickets. I think the pre-sale is this weekend, this Friday or something like that. They announced it when they announced these fights last night. So just make sure you do your research before you start planning any trips to New York City. My homeboy Matt Hawkins, that does a Coast to Coast Combat Hour, I mean, he came out here for a couple of them. That's where that podcast was born. Actually, he came out here for UFC 2005. I believe he came out for UFC 217. And when he saw this and with everything going on, he was like, I don't even know if I should. You don't want to spend a lot of money to come out and then to have the rug pulled out from under you. It does bring in a lot of revenue to New York since MMA. They lifted the ban on MMA. As much as I've been a cheerleader for that, I mean, I am worried myself. Especially us media folk, we usually do a little meetup too. Who knows if that's even happening, but it's months ahead. But so far, these are the bouts, and now check out at this link at MMANews.com for those details. And I hope, we all hope we get out of this COVID bullshit. So I hate to say it like that, but I mean, not for nothing. If you're not bored of it, I mean, I have, sympathies to everybody that's lost something. I mean, we all lost a little something, and I'm not trying to be insensitive about it, but I mean, it's time. It's time to try to get back to normal somewhat. So hopefully it sticks through. So let me switch over to last night's results for UFC Vegas 35. Because there's a lot happened last night. I made a couple of picks. You guys know I contribute at the SureDogs.com staff picks, and one of the things I did was I made a pick. I submit those like Thursday morning or whatever. I do them and they send them to me, and then but as a betting man, I usually make my bets a little closer to fight night. So I changed last minute. So I let's scroll down to the I close this out. Scroll down to we got the highlights there. I'm not going to say why I don't play them anymore. You guys should know why if you follow Sunday Submission. Let's go to the results here. The ESPN Plus had some really crazy highlight reel finishes. Two in particular, which are not on the website, but you could, if you go on ESPN MMA, you should be able to see them. One of them being this heel hook finish by Pat Sabatini when he submitted Jamal Hammers in the first round. So it was on his right leg. He tried to go for a toe hold of his own. One of the things that as a grappler, that's not very versed in. I do have a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I'm an old head black belt, meaning leg locks is a game that when I was coming up, you weren't even allowed to start doing leg locks until you were like a purple belt. But now with YouTube and everyone trying them, it seems to be more of it's like a new part of jiu-jitsu that's like a fad, and it's a dangerous. I mean, they're give or take in MMA because especially this was done in the first round, so they were dry. It was hard to slip out of. But the thing about that exchange, when a leg lock is being applied, and when I'm getting leg locked, if someone attacks my leg, I don't try to engage them by attacking their legs because they already got to that game first. So when this was happening between Sabatini and Emmers, he would have been better off fighting Sabatini's hands and trying to defend his leg rather than to attack with the leg, because then it becomes a race of who's going to get there first. And more times than not, the guy that's going for the leg lock first before you think to go for after his legs to counter it is going to get the leg lock he's initially going for. There's a whole sequence that they all train and go through and drill. And if you're not up on the sequences and the escapes and the way it goes, it's almost like speed chess. They always compared combat sports and martial arts to chess. The leg lock game can be like speed chess. So if you watch the finish there, Emmers is going for the toe hold, but Sabatini has already transitioned to the heel hook to his armpit. The toes are in the armpit, and he's already cranking it. And the sad thing, I mean, Joe Rogan says it all the time, and it's fact when it comes to the submission game. By the time you tap and feel, it's usually something is already damaged, especially when it comes to leg locks. That's why it looks so painful for Jamal. But they did do an update at the post-fight press conference. He's fine. There's probably just a sprain, maybe a little bit of ligament damage that he could probably do some PT to get better from. But he's okay. He will live to fight another day. And then this knockout, man, this was like some movie. It was like some movie shit right here. Abdul Razak Al Hassan, this head kick knockout was. You just have to. I'm surprised it's not on here. I guess they only saw fit to put the main card highlights on here. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where that comes from, but I guess the post would be too long, and folks don't like to read too much these days anyway. But again, I mean, they're all ESPN MMA. Again, they get mad if we play it on here, so you have to go to their social and play it, scumbags. So when I was talking about my bets for last night's main card, this one right here, I officially picked Mahmoud Muradov. If you don't know, Bisping alluded to it during the broadcast. He's he's the only MMA fighter that's under Floyd Mayweather's TMT, the money team. He's the only MMA fighter that's not, in combat sports, that's not a boxer. He's their only MMA fighter. And if you look at the guy, I mean, he lost last night. He got submitted. I forget what his record, but of his losses, 3 of them were by, and this is the homework I was doing last minute. 3 of his losses were by submission, and I think he's lost 1 decision. So when I saw he was going against an experienced or a veteran UFC fighter, the guy that's got seniority over him in the promotion, this was his climb up the ladder. I was like, maybe my pick is going to be wrong, because I know Mearshardt's pretty savvy on the ground, and so I had him picked to win by submission, and that's what happened. I put money to win to win by submission. Officially, I had Muradov picked, and I still think Muradov's a problem. I think he's going to knock out a lot of dudes at 185. He just needs to. I mean, someone like him with the way he fights, he doesn't even have to work on his ground game. He just needs to work on submission defense. And I think he's still a killer. He's still. I mean, he's put away almost all his opponents leading up to Mearshardt, and there's times where Mearshardt was almost put away especially that first round. But he knew to weather the storm if he could put pressure on him and get him to the ground. I mean, I guess he did the same homework I did and saw that the submission is where that's the hole in Muradov's game. And plus 525 paid off. Boy, was I happy when that happened. I don't bet it on this. I don't make a lot of money here at MMANews.com or any of the places that I write for. So my bets are always small, but when they pay off big like that, it's worth yelling in the apartment about when you're watching these fights. So, as far as middleweights go, I don't think Mahmoud is somebody to brush off. So his next fight, he's probably gonna drop somebody. This fight, was the Ultimate Fighter finale card technically. So you had the bantamweight and the middleweights. This fight right here, this was split decision. I think Dana White alluded to Brady Heistand. Even though he didn't win and get the trophy and all that, he's definitely going to stay in the UFC's Rolodex, which is the thing that they've file through to keep numbers quick. It's like your call list on your phone. I used that term with one of my training partners who's younger than me this week, and they were like, "What's a Rolodex?" And I had to look at the older guy to be like, "These kids nowadays." Yeah, I don't think we've seen the last of Brady Heistand. I mean, definitely a split decision. The fight was so back and forth. I mean, we've got highlights on here from that for sure. That fight was, I mean, this little exchange, this exchange here at the end. I don't want to play it again, but you know why? Play it. Go to MMAnews.com. Go to the results page and play that highlight. Just the back and forth between that. So there's a reason why it was a split decision, and even Dana White said he was gonna. outside of the performance bonuses or whatever all the 50K that these fighters got, he was going to kick him a little extra just because of how great that fight was. And the comment that he made afterward was that the Ultimate Fighter, I mean, apparently newer MMA fans like the Ultimate Fighter, and that's where the viewership numbers and everything Dana White talked about in the post-fight presser come from. I don't watch. I don't have ESPN Plus. Again, I don't got a lot of money. I can't be doing all these streaming services. So I don't have ESPN Plus for that reason. But it's one of those things where you if the numbers are coming from somewhere. So he said the Ultimate Fighter is not going anywhere. They're going to do it once a year. So that was it. They're not even going to think about it till next year. This is what Dana White said at the post-fight presser, because now that he wants to focus on the Contender Series, which, listen, I've already spoken to a few fighters that were not fought on the Contender Series or coming back. Aaron Jeffrey being one of them. So I think he's on the September 28th card for the Dana White's Contender Series, and that's his second time coming on there. Justin Wetzel was supposed to be a bantamweight on the Ultimate Fighter, who he actually tweeted, congratulated Ricky, but was like, if he was able to get in on it, the whole COVID situation made it hard to even do a lot of these things. So there's fighters that you're going to see pop out of nowhere that are definitely ones to watch coming out of LFA that have picked up titles like Jeffries and Wetzel. They both won, titles, or they both are won or are highly ranked over at LFA and CFFC. Like Jeffries, CFFC champ, welterweight champ. So you're going to see them in the UFC soon, or at least getting phone calls to jump in on fights that fall apart if they're there and ready. And then the main event. Listen, the main event. I had Edson Barboza pick to win. I firmly believe he would have won. I actually had him picked to win in this round 3, and I think he would have won. I know that Giga was outlanding him. First of all, I got to say, Michael Bisping, I love his analysis and commentary during the broadcast, because some of the things he says really sticks in my mind. And one thing I didn't know about Giga Chikadze was that he's a Kyokushin karate guy. The history of guys from that karate discipline in MMA has shown to be that they are the tougher karate guys to beat. And I know you think about, usually when you think karate and MMA, you think about Lyoto Machida, you think about Wonder Boy. I'm trying to think whom else. There's Kenpo Karate, Chuck Liddell. But the guys that have really been hammers as far as like just their, they punch through your guard, punch through, take a lot of damage to give a lot of damage. George St. Pierre's a Kyokushin karate guy. Boss Rutan's a Kyokushin karate guy. So when they said that, I was like, oh, then that was during the broadcast. So it was already too late for me to change any of my picks or anything. When they said that, I was just like, man, Barboza might be in trouble here. But I still, during the fight, I still had hopes for Barboza to do a third round finish as I thought, because even though Chikadze was throwing these, taking damage to throw a lot of damage, Barboza was landing. I think the first 2 rounds were Chikadze's as well. I think they were both 10-9 for him. I'd have to look at the scorecard on the UFC News social feed. But if you look at the counter striking of Barboza, it was doing damage. It was landing. So I still thought the finish was going to come for him in the third round. But I guess the durability of Chikadze was just too much for him, and he started landing on his chin that started stunning Barboza, and that nullified his counter striking. But even the commentary team noticed that the leg kicks, that calf kick, there was one inside leg kick and a couple calf kicks that landed, or thigh kicks from Barboza that landed, that Chikadze was starting to make faces on. It's only going to get harder for him, but the guy is now, since coming into the UFC, he's 7-0 since coming to the UFC, and he's looking at, people talking about what fights to make next for him in that weight class, and one of the names that came out of Chikadze's mouth was Max Holloway. Max Holloway is like a boxing MMA guy. He that whole thing with him yelling at DC about who's the best boxer. but that might not be good against a guy that uses his kicking range like Chikidze does. So I mean, that's definitely a fight to watch, though. You know what I mean? Like that's definitely some future pay-per-view co-main. You know what I mean? I mean, they're talking about the winner of Ortega and Volkanovski for maybe for him, but a lot of fights to make there. Um, Lastly, I mean, we're already a little bit over time, but I want to close out with it's Sunday, August 29th. We got the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley boxing event tonight. Um, I've talked about this before. The rule set, the senior man under the rule set being contested is usually the guy that's likely to win. That's why Jake Paul is a favorite under the odds makers rules tonight. Um, I'm not going to be surprised if it goes his way, especially if it goes to a judging decision. Remember, I said make sure you pay mind to the size of the ring that they're using. I haven't seen any images or photos of it. We're going to see it when it happens tonight. But don't be surprised if the ring is a little bit smaller and it doesn't allow for Woodley, who comes from MMA wrestling, who likes to throw everything in. Don't be surprised if it's a smaller ring that favors Paul, and Woodley can't utilize it to put his hips and legs into his power. But Woodley's not Ben Askren or any other. He's a former UFC champion. So when it comes to using the term puncher's chance, I think both men have a puncher's chance. But if Woodley takes it to him with the output and the training, I don't think we've seen the likes of again, it's not Ben Askren versus Jake Paul. This is Tyron Woodley, some serious business. I want him to win. I got money on him to win. Not a lot again, but by KO. But just remember, it's under boxing rules, and usually it goes the way of the boxer when MMA competitor switches into that rule set. So don't be surprised if if something weird happens tonight. But I think as MMA folks, this is the MMAnews.com website. I think we're all pulling for Tyron Woodley to win. So have fun. Either way, have fun watching it. Sorry for going a little over, but I wanted to close with that because it is the day of the event. Make sure you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, click the bell, all that stuff. I said that already. Check out MMAnews.com. I'm sure we're going to have plenty of this Woodley Paul stuff up on there. And make sure you give me a follow on Twitter at Carbazel, where I usually stream this as I do it before it gets uploaded to the YouTube channel on Sundays. Thank you so much. Take care. I'm tapping out. Stay safe out there, folks in Louisiana. I know the hurricane's hitting you. Thoughts. You're in my thoughts. So be safe, everybody.